Every family in Goshen killed a lamb that evening, not as a ceremony, not as a symbol, as a deadline. The blood had to be on the doorframe before midnight. The meal had to be finished before midnight. Every sandal had to be on, every cloak tied, every walking staff in hand before midnight. Because something was moving through Egypt that night, and the only thing standing between a family and death was a smear of blood on wood. They had lived in Egypt for 430 years. Their grandparents' grandparents had come here in famine and stayed. This was the only country most of them had ever known. They spoke the language. They knew the streets. Egypt was not a foreign land to them. It was home. And tonight they were leaving it forever. Some barely believed it would work. All of them had their sandals on. The instructions had come ahead of time. A year-old male lamb slaughtered at twilight. The blood not poured, but brushed, using hyssop, the small bristled herb that grows from stone walls across the region, applied to the 2 doorposts and the lintel above. The lamb roasted whole, eaten with flat bread and bitter herbs. Nothing boiled, nothing left until morning. And all of it consumed, standing, dressed, ready to move at a moment's notice. A family eating dinner in their traveling clothes, standing up, watching the door. The bread was flat because there had been no time to let it rise. The herbs were bitter, intentionally so. This was not a comfortable meal. It was a departure meal. Outside the window, Egypt looked exactly as it always had. The same dark street, the same torchlight, the same silence. Midnight. Something moved through Egypt that had never moved through it before. The Israelites did not see it. They heard what came after. A single cry from somewhere in the city. Then another. Then a third, closer this time. And then it spread, house by house, street by street, from the lowest prisoner in the dungeon to the palace on the hill. Egypt discovered what it was to lose its firstborn, all of it, in one night. Before dawn, Pharaoh rose. His son was dead. Every house in Egypt was screaming, from the lowest dungeon to the palace itself. He summoned Moses before sunrise, not at first light, before it, because he already understood what the answer had to be. Go, take your people, take your flocks, take everything, leave, and ask your God to bless him on the way out. 430 years ended before the sun came up. The column that moved out of Goshen in the pre-dawn dark was enormous. Men, women, children, animals, bundles of everything a family could carry. The bread had not risen, so they wrapped the raw dough in cloth and took it anyway. They carried gold and silver their Egyptian neighbors had pressed into their hands. 4 centuries of labor, leaving in the dark. They didn't know the sea was ahead. They didn't know the wilderness was ahead, 40 years of it. They didn't know that most of the people walking out that morning would never see the land they were walking toward. All they knew, in the first gray light of that day, was that the door had held. The blood was still on the wood. Egypt was behind them, and the road ahead was open. The forgotten chapters don't end here. The next one is already waiting.